Now, the 1900 scholars, the thinking that Marx had at first didn't really change much. But as MacGyver and them started to dig over in southern Monomotapa, Mapukape, when they started to dig in those areas, they started to find only African artifacts. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the Horus King that's on the Great Zimbabwe flag, they find that. They find 6 foot statues of that. You see what I'm saying? Just like in ancient Egypt. You see what I'm saying? But they overturn the thinking. You see what I'm saying? Of Karl Marx. You see what I'm saying? Well, there's no way an African could ever build a civilization. You see what I'm saying? That thinking. What but it was never truly it was overturned in archaeology, but in the school system, what how Karl Marx think, they still teach that today in the West. The Africans could never build a civilization. You see what I'm saying? But those early 1902, 1905, those early archaeologists overturned that those were purely indigenous African sites. You see what I'm saying? But Karl Marx thinking is still taught in the West to this day. That's why we don't know nothing about Great Zimbabwe, and that's why I be saying we need Africans, true African studies in the West. You see what I'm saying? This story is so amazing. I mean, we need to know about, the Shawnee people. You see, we need to know about Mona Batapa, Mapungwape. You see what I'm saying? We need to know about Karma. We need to know about those uh uh southern kingdoms in Botswana, and see what I'm saying? We need to know about all of that. You see what I'm saying? The thing is, like when they voted down the African study 7-1. Go look at that video, by the way, and share this one. But when they voted that down, that's why I be saying that this is one of the stories that would have went into that curriculum of the African studies of Great Zimbabwe. You see what I'm saying? Which is an amazing story. You see what I'm saying? Beautiful castles. See, when you go up into Great Zimbabwe, they got the hyper style halls like in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Where it's acoustic, where you can speak out, go into their hall and then speak out like you got one of those bull horns. You see what I'm saying? You could speak to the people. He the king. He making the, coming out his Oval Office, and stepping to the podium and making a speech. You see what I'm saying? He could do that. You see, by just stepping in this acoustic hall to where he could speak out and the people in the valley can hear what he's saying. You see what I'm saying? So that's some science, family. How long did it take them to figure out uh that science? You see what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get back to March and these gold mines that he thought was King Solomon's. You see what I'm saying? And that's why he ended up, another man ended up authoring his publishings, because he funded a lot of what his finest, that Mark's finest, and he got made a book and got rich off his Mark's finest. You see what I'm saying? Then Marx ended up back in Germany drinking. You see what I'm saying? In a hospital for a while. He was in a hotel and ended up jumping out the window or falling out the window, whichever the two. You see what I'm saying? But like I said, those early 1900 scholars came and overturned what he thought somewhat. But his legacy is still living live and well in the West. The black people can never build a civilization. Facts. And that some kind of way, ancient Egypt, Monomotapa, you see what I'm saying? Punt, and places like that is some kind of way white civilizations, the ancient Africans is some kind of way white people that came and built all of this. You see what I'm saying? Even when you talk about the Bible, you see what I'm saying? Moses born in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So there gotta be an African man. There's nowhere in the Hebrews. is of the Egyptians. Ain't he of the Egyptians? That's in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? So, like he was looking for Sophia or Ophir, Karl Marx in that Bible, March in that Bible, then he was treasure hunting. He was treasure hunting, but he was blind to the fact, that the thing that he wanted, calling Sheba's palace and King Solomon's mines. You see what I'm saying? He was blind to the fact that these were purely African civilizations. That's facts. That's facts. These stories need to be taught of the Shawnee people. You see what I'm saying? And what they call an Adam's clock. You see what I'm saying? Those are African kingdoms, African structures. You see what I'm saying? That are still there. You see what I'm saying? And they dated to uh, uh, what they call it, the 10th century. You see what I'm saying? 1000. You see what I'm saying? To 1290. You see what I'm saying? Those are dates for that. Got to give you them dates. And we know, even the archaeologists will tell you, most of those kingdoms and the carbon dating that they get is older than what the artifacts is. The artifacts in the carbon date is older than what the dates are. You see what I'm saying? So even the dates need to be overturned, on those structures. You see what I'm saying? Because now we got the carbon dating now, and now we could date it even closer. You see, so even just like ancient Egypt, the dates, when you carbon date them, they older than what they really saying the dates is. You see what I'm saying? They keep those dates kind of close to the Bible to get a Bible more validity. That's why a lot of Karl Marx and them was going in the Bible looking for all of these uh, 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 King Solomon, to validify the things that he thought. You see what I'm saying? That's why when every time you see a Solomon and Sheba movie, it's always Europeans. You see what I'm saying? Because of that Karl Marx thinking. You see what I'm saying? So Karl Marx thinking still is in the West. You see what I'm saying? Heavy. You see what I'm saying? That's why they won't teach about the African people, because of that Karl Marx thinking. And he the first white man to ever see Great Zimbabwe. But when McGovern and them came, they started to see the link between ancient Egypt and Great Zimbabwe. Well, like, look, they got the same, they started to see the same, iconography. You see what I'm saying? They started to see the same architectural structures. You see what I'm saying? Like they found them Harvest Kings. You see what I'm saying? They obelisks. It's obelisks there. You see what I'm saying? All of that. The same thing. You see what I'm saying? Then you go to the oral traditions of the Zulu and the Shawnee people. They say they come from where? The Nile Valley, ancient Egypt. Right now, if you go to the Zulus and ask the Zulu where they come from, they say they come from the Nile Valley. You see what I'm saying? Ancient Egypt. See that? So we know who we are. You see what I'm saying? It's just certain portions of our history that's done, been hidden, and they try to say it's been erased. It ain't been erased. It's still there. You see what I'm saying? But it's being hidden by museums, by Egyptology, and by archaeology, and certain organizations and institutions. You see what I'm saying? But the history of South Africa, it is just as exquisite as the history of the Nile Valley. Just as exquisite. You see what I'm saying? Even though it could be, just as old, and even if those dates are right, it proves that the ancient Nile Valley Africans, uh, you know, was from southern and western Africa, and which when they invaded, Alexander invaded, and other the Portuguese and all these other, the British and all of that, once they invaded, all of them ran back to the lands that they was originally from and went to start building again. Now, if you go look at the destruction of black civilizations, they'll say everywhere the Africans from ancient Egypt on deeper into Africa, everywhere the Africans would go, the foreigners would come knock down their civilizations every time. And if you look at the philosophy of Alexander Napoleon, they say anywhere black people is that we must stomp out all their civilizations each and every time.